Welcome back to the Washington Demon Coaches Show. This is the second edition of this show. I'm your host, Todd Patterson. I recognize that we probably need to come up with a catchier name for this show. I just was talking to my producer, Nick Steffens, about that, but I've shortened it to WCS, which is almost equally as uncatchy. So we're looking for some different options. So if anybody out there has any thoughts. I'm really happy today to be joined in studio again by Activities Director Brent Van Weelden, and in a little while we'll be joined by Dean of Students, Mr. Six. He's also the volleyball coach, and so Brent, thanks a lot for being here again. I think we had a pretty good week of activities at Washington. You want to give us a little recap, maybe specifically football and cross country?
Yeah. So cross country went to Iowa City, Regina. They ran at Kickers Park, I think is what they call it. And it's a pretty tough course from what I understand. I guess at the start is a big hill. Coach Shantz does a good job, Coach Hayworth now. Sorry about that, Coach. Does a great job of getting the kids ready. They run out at Sunset Park, and so they run hills quite a bit. If I would have to guess by reading her a little bit, and the kids, the runners, they probably weren't as happy with their performance as maybe what they thought they were going to get out of themselves. Which is great. You always, after you run or whatever you're competing in, you self-evaluate and as a coaching staff and as an individual, and figure out what you need to do better to improve. And I think that's kind of what happened after this meet. There's a lot of tough teams there. Solon was there, Clear Creek, Amana, Marion. So I applaud the team and the coaches for wanting to get into that. This is the first year we got into that, and to get some good competition, to see where you're at.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This has been a long time ago, but when I was in high school, the boys ran 3.1 and the girls ran 2. Do they all run the same distance now, or has that changed?
They run the same, so it's a 5K.
3.1 miles.
Yeah, for the high school, and then the middle school run 2 miles.
Okay, got ya.
So, right. Yeah. So anyway, so I believe today the both cross-country teams, boys and girls, as well as the middle school, go to Fairfield, to Waterworks Park. So that, I think they'll look to see what they've worked on the last week and maybe, try and improve on their performance. This is the first middle school meet. So Coach Vitito now, Brenna DeLong is now Mrs. Vitito, I guess. So she's in her first year of coaching the middle school, so it'll be fun for them to get out and compete. On I guess it's a real wooded course and stuff. So cross country's been going real well. Just touch on volleyball real quick. They've had a tough schedule. I think they played 6 matches maybe on Saturday, and then Keokuk lost a tough match to Keokuk, 3-2 on Tuesday. So. But they're playing real well. They're young, but they're improving every day. So, good for them. So
yeah. Well, hopefully we have Aaron Six here to talk a little bit more in depth about the volleyball here in a moment. Football, your thoughts, and then maybe junior high football if you want to talk about junior high football.
Yeah, I'll start with high school. We went down to
Mount Pleasant.
We didn't see any of the shirts. Our kids did great. The student section did great.
Some of us had undershirts on.
We didn't see them, so that's perfect. But we really took it to them. I really thought the football team went out from the opening kickoff and did what they needed to do. I went in, I believe, it ended up 54-20, maybe.
I think that's right.
We ran the ball. I think Taven ran the ball real well. He showed that he could carry the ball the entire game. We got some production out of Brown, Jude Brown.
Yep.
I really think one of the big plays there that other teams are going to have to maybe recognize is where he goes right up the middle,
that little inside counter, or the pass play.
The pass play.
Yeah. That was there a couple of times. Yeah. I think we hit it once and maybe missed it once.
Yeah. Maybe the one we got went for a touchdown. Would that be right or close?
I think so. Yeah.
So but I thought that was a big play, and also on defense, I don't know what they gained for rushing on the night.
They had negative. I know they had negative 1 yard total rushing on the night. I think that, and they did a lot of kind of dinking and diving passing, like a lot of stuff in the flats, a lot of bubble routes,
Right.
and then bubble routes off quick slants and things like that. So they ended up with almost 300 yards passing, but there was no, big play.
Right.
Right. Everything was kept in front of them, and it looked like they were doing a pretty good job of controlling that particular aspect of their offense.
Right, about 40 years ago, that's what our coach used to say. If they're going to throw it and they throw it short, just make sure you make the tackle. And it's pretty tough for any team at any level to throw short passes and go clear down the field.
And back then, 40 years ago, when you played, the ball was like shaped like a basketball. It was really hard to throw.
It seemed like it was bigger. I don't know.
Actual pigskin.
Yeah, we didn't have face masks or anything. So, yeah. When they did throw it down the middle, Weelden had a great interception there on the goal line when they were going in. So that was a huge play. So overall, I think the coaches are pretty excited, and this week's going to be a tough challenge.
Yeah, what do you think about that matchup? Just kind of generally speaking.
Well, they lost. They lose to Independence on a Hail Mary with
55-yard Hail Mary.
Yeah.
It looked like.
Last year, Clear Creek really took it to us. They're bigger. But I think our kids are up to the challenge. It'll probably be a game that maybe gives us a clear understanding of where we're at and what we need to work on. Obviously, we're a team that needs to run the ball to make other things happen. Ethan does a good job scrambling around and making big plays as well. But, I think if we establish a run game, I think we need to control the clock. If we can do those things, I don't know. I'd say they're favored. I suppose someone has some points out there or something, but
I just have a lot of money riding on it, but I don't know the actual spread.
Yeah,
I think they lost some big chunks of their offense, but like Ben Swales was their quarterback. I think he went on to a D1 baseball program. I think they had a receiver who was kind of a nightmare for us. But like at a school that size and that geography, it's almost like they print a guy, one guy leaves and they print a guy who looks almost exactly like him. And so I think their quarterback looks like he's pretty talented as well. I think it's going to be a really good test.
Yeah, I do too. They're growing. They're a big school. They're not that, we want to play them, but I think they're probably going to be 5A before long, and we're still 3A, but it'll be good for us. It'll show us where we're at, and the kids better rise to the challenge because, if they don't, it could get ugly.
Well, I think one thing I've seen from this team, and I mentioned it to Coach Arrett when he was here, is the physicality level of this team seems to be a little higher than last year, and there's a little bit more of a don't quit. So, I think, when you're coaching, a lot of it comes down to not how you did right at the time of what happened. It's what are you going to do the rest of the game? How are you going to react to that? And, if a game doesn't go your way, how are you going to react the rest of the season? And are you mature enough to kind of put it behind you, make the appropriate adjustments, and get on with life?
Well, I think that comes from the coaches as well, on down. There's going to be things that go bad in a game, and, how do we react? Like you said, putting it behind you. I think the coaches are doing a great job. And as far as our kids' physical play, I don't know. I'll be honest, they're playing above probably, what I would have thought from them, and a lot of it comes from that physicality.
Yeah.
I think the kids did a great job in the weight room in the off season. I think the senior leadership is where it needs to be, and like Braden said last week, they're having fun.
Yeah.
So I think they want to play hard for themselves and their coaches, and that makes a big difference if you're not just playing for yourself, but playing for the 10 other guys on the field.
So do you want to talk a little bit about junior high football?
Yeah. So we started this week with Sigourney, and I've heard some rumblings. Why are we playing Sigourney? Well, it's a long story, but I'll try and shorten it up.
Well, actually, we've got some time.
We do have some time. So,
just kidding.
So Sigourney plays in a league where some of their teams are 8-man football. So, and they're still 11.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Well, to go way back,
Seems like they shouldn't lose.
right? yeah. So the state sets the varsity football schedule. Every other schedule is set by the school. So it does. Our JV and freshman teams don't necessarily have to play, and in some cases across the state don't play the same team the same week as their varsity schedule. So when you go, when you get to the lower levels, sometimes it's a scramble. So in our conference, we play Ottumwa. Well, this year, Ottumwa's junior high, they have enough numbers that they have 2 7th grade teams and 2 8th grade teams. And we were supposed to play both of them. Well, Oski and Sigourney came to us and said they needed 2 games. Mm-hmm. So they played each other. Oski and Sigourney played each other for one of the games. Then they were looking at us and Ottumwa. Mm-hmm. Well, instead of playing Ottumwa twice, we picked up Sigourney. They are closer geographically, and Ottumwa went to Oskaloosa, or vice versa. I don't know if Oski went there, but Sigourney's a great team. They have that spin back, and it's something our junior high kids hadn't seen before. But it was, I think it was a good eye-opening experience for them to know that even at the junior high level, you got to come prepared to play.
Yeah.
Next week they go to West Burlington. West Burlington's another team that in their conference, some of the teams play 8-man football. So we play West Burlington. Mediapolis is in our league now because of the same reason, and Central Lee. So it's kind of the old typical us playing Burlington and the other conference schools with Ottumwa at middle school has kind of changed in football because of schools enrollment dropping and then playing 8-man football. So that's where we're at now, and
so those schools like Sigourney as an 11-man football team, they drop down to 8-man when they play against an 8-man team?
No, it's still the state sets their varsity
so they just
schedule.
Don't play those teams.
Yeah, so they won't play those teams.
Okay.
Just like like Mount Pleasant and Fort Madison and Burlington are really 4A.
Right.
So we as ADs, when the season is over, will ask the state to say, we want to play these teams. We want these teams to be on our schedule. We want to still play Mount Pleasant, even though they're not the same class as us.
Gotcha.
And then the state looks at all that, and then they decide, well, here's your schedule. So we're pretty fortunate that we're good geographically and stuff, but the state could send us north, and they've done that a couple times.
Interesting.
So.
Well, you want to take a quick break, Nick, and then when we come back, I want to ask you a little bit about last week when we talked. You said one of important part of your job was arranging officials for games, umpires, referees, and things like that. I want to chat with you a little bit about kind of trends we're seeing and how we can go about reversing some of this stuff. So
sounds good.
All right.
Since 1905, Kelowna Cooperative Technology Company has helped our community stay connected with the latest advancements in clear, dependable telecommunications services. KCTC provides rural Iowans with access to high-speed fiber internet, as well as phone, television, computer repair, and cybersecurity solutions. We're also proud supporters of local organizations and area schools within the community. KCTC, keeping Kelowna connected.
Welcome back to the Washington Demon Coaches Show, WDCS. I am your host still, Todd Patterson, and I'm joined again in the studio by Brent Van Weelden. We are waiting for Mr. Six to get here. He was dealing with some student issues at the school, so hopefully he can make it. If he can't, we'll have a little shorter show for you probably. But I did want to talk to you about, I think, an interesting part of your job. Maybe it's not interesting. Maybe it's kind of a challenge. But I know kind of at a national level, anecdotally, and I've read some things that, there's declining numbers of officials, referees and umpires for games. And I'm curious, your perspective on that, how things are actually kind of going locally, and what are the reasons for some of those things? So, and what can we do about it?
Well, first of all, there is in southeast Iowa and the rest of Iowa, but southeast Iowa, there is a shortage of umpires and officials. A lot of them are getting up in age and have done it for 30, 40 years and want to get out of it and join the senior years of their life, just kind of relaxing and going south and all that stuff.
Like we were just talking about with you.
Yeah,
yes.
maybe. So, but if you think about it, a lot of these officials are probably officiating 5-6 days a week. And the pay is pretty good. The pay has gone up because there's a shortage. Like on a Friday night, if an umpire official does a freshman and a varsity game, they get $150. Take that times 5, so that's quite a chunk of money. But sometimes they take some grief. You talk to some officials, they don't mind it. You talk to others, it does bother them. It's kind of just like everybody else. Sometimes you're in a position where people can criticize pretty easily, and some can let it roll off their back, and others take it personal. I think the ones that take it personal probably get out of it a little quicker than others. I don't think, parents or coaches, I don't think, if they see a bad call or think it's a bad call, it's really not the official or the umpire, it's just who happens to be standing there.
Yes.
So I don't think it's ever directed at people individually, but sometimes it looks that way. One of the things we've done to try and help, for example, we talked baseball and softball. This is probably news to many that we adjusted our conference schedules. So for baseball and softball, on Mondays when we play a conference opponent, say Mount Pleasant, we will play a 1 o'clock, a 3 o'clock JV game, and then a 5:30 and a 7:30 varsity game. So hopefully we can get one set of officials there to do all the games. When we put the JV at one spot and the varsity at another spot, you double your need. You double your need.
Yeah.
And then on Thursdays, when we play the varsity game, it's going to be a JV varsity game, not a varsity doubleheader.
Okay.
So we're only going to play each team in conference 3 times now instead of 4, and it's going to be the same team the same week. So for baseball, it seems more logical because it makes you go deeper into your pitching staff. So who has the best team? Softball really doesn't matter. Usually the same girls can pitch multiple days a week. So we've tried to change the conference schedule a little bit to ease up the amount of umpires needed during the summer. Wrestling has put a big push out there. Kids that graduate high school, that go to college or don't go to college, go get become a referee. They can make a lot of money, $150, $200 for a weekend tournament. And that's pretty good for a college kid. Get a couple dates during the week. So we're really trying to push high school kids that were out for sports, that love being involved in sports. Maybe they're not a next level kid that are going to go play at Iowa or wherever, Division III, that we want those kids to get involved and get them going. Anything
that we as fans can do, and are there any sports in your opinion that are tougher to officiate than others?
Well, I don't know. There's some venues like inside that allow referees to hear everything. For a football game, unless someone's really loud, I would dare to say that most of those officials don't hear the fans.
And some of them don't see them either.
Yes. But, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything worse than anything else. It's just, we always got to, we're human. The umpires out there trying to do their best. They're not showing up saying, "Hey, we're gonna mess this up,"
Yeah.
But as far as just being good sports, we all make mistakes. If you don't make any mistakes, go get your referee license, and no one will ever yell at you.
Get your eyes checked and get your referee license.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, Brent, I appreciate your time as always, and we're joined here by Aaron Six and one of his players. So we're going to go ahead and make the transition, and
all right,
they're going to come in and do this cold. You want to go to a commercial, or what do you want to do? Okay, we'll go a quick commercial. Thanks, Brent.
Since 1905, Kelowna Cooperative Technology Company has helped our community stay connected with the latest advancements in clear, dependable telecommunications services. KCTC provides rural Iowans with access to high-speed fiber internet, as well as phone, television, computer repair, and cybersecurity solutions. We're also proud supporters of local organizations and area schools within the community. KCTC, keeping Kelowna connected.
Welcome back to the Washington Demon Coaches Show, or the WDCS. I'm your host, Todd Patterson. I'm now joined in the studio by head coach of the girls volleyball team, Aaron Six, who is also the dean of students, and I believe probably acting in that capacity very recently, and why he's a little late to the thing. And I'm also joined by one of his players, Ella Greiner. So welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Coach, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been coaching volleyball?
So this is actually my second stint as head coach. I previously coached for 7 years, and then when my boys were born, that was the time that I needed to get out of coaching. So
we all feel you there, yeah.
3 boys at home, and then a daughter that was 3 years old at the time needed to be home. So took some time off from coaching, and so then this is my second year back as the head coach.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about this team? Who's kind of who the captains, who's senior leaders or junior senior leaders, and you have some youth coming along that's contributing this year.
Yeah. So kind of starting off with our setter Haley Mitchell is a senior. Was starter last year for us and kind of helps run the offense with things. Alex Murphy is one of our top middle hitters, and has done a great job for us this year, and actually did a great job for us last year, really kind of being the consistent one for us in the middle, puts a nice block up there, but also can put the ball down when need be. So, those are 2 seniors that have the most experience coming in and going through there. The other senior that we haven't seen on the court yet this year is Kenelise Espinoza, who was a returning all-conference player and had to sit out here a little bit at the beginning of this season, and looking for her being able to come back here.
Yeah, I imagine that'll be a huge contribution.
Yep. So another little spike to the team.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Point. Yes.
Yeah. I set you up for that one,
yes,
didn't I?
Yes, you did. Great setup there.
There's another one. Later we can bump it to Ella here. See, what are we doing here?
Yes, so those would be the 3 seniors that have the most, experience with the team. We have 4 others that, have been stepping in this year with Ava Wolf, Cadence Howell, new to the team this year, Nevaeh Brown, which this is her first year going out for volleyball as a senior. And who am I missing here? Yes, Sam Hunger is
Gotcha.
the other middle that has been stepping in and, looking at times during tournaments and stuff, being able to help out and give some people some breaks there.
You must have to have a lot of depth. I saw you played, 6 games on Saturday or something like that. I can't imagine.
Yeah, so it gets to be a lot when you're playing, 5-6 matches in a night or in a day there. We've been to Grinnell and we're at the gym for 12 hours, and so it just draws on you at that point, and being able to still place, get some consistency with that starting group, but then also being able to give them an opportunity to sit out a little bit there. In our junior class, Macy Williams is another middle hitter there for us, has been doing a nice job with that. And then we lost Remy Messenger, who was our other setter running in our 6-2 offense, but we lost her to some knee injury. She had her MRI yesterday, and I believe is waiting to hear back.
Hopefully that turns out
what the prognosis is there.
Well, I want to say in the medical field, we say we want it to turn out negative, even though that sounds opposite of what you probably want. So, Ella, we're joined also by Ella Greiner. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself? What year are you in school? What position you play? How'd you get into volleyball, maybe?
So I'm a sophomore. I play outside. It's my favorite position, and I don't know how I got into volleyball. I guess I think all my friends are playing, and I wanted to feel included when I was younger, so I started, and then I just fell in love with it. So
how many years have you been playing?
I think 6 or 7.
And do you do any volleyball activities outside of the school volleyball, like travel teams or anything like that?
I play for Mid-Prairie Journey in the winter. So
that will make my producer very happy. He's a Mid-Prairie guy, right?
Wrong MP.
Wrong MP. Nobody cares. It's not Mount Pleasant either, right?
Yeah, sure.
I always like to ask athletes this. What rituals do you have? Do you have any rituals? Like when I played baseball, I wouldn't let anybody touch the ball I was going to be pitching with to start the game.
I don't have any rituals for volleyball. I don't think.
For other sports?
For softball, I can't get rid of my cleats. I can't do it.
Yeah. Do you leave them in the garage?
I still use them, but there's like holes in them, and I won't give them up.
But they must smell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
that's
bad.
what I mean. You probably have to leave them in the garage. We have to leave Ethan's shoes in the garage. They're pretty gnarly. How do you get yourself ready for the season? Sounds like you're playing travel ball and things like that. What other things do you do to kind of get yourself ready?
Well, I do softball most of the summer, so it kind of takes up a lot. But I guess I like to get together with friends and just touch the ball again and just prepare for the season.
So do you spike?
Yeah.
All right. That's super cool.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the most powerful hitters that we have on the squad. There's times where, she can definitely bring it when need be, and has just been a great asset to us on the outside.
So I got kind of the same question for both of you. I'm curious what your goals are as an athlete, going forward. And then I'm curious what your goals are for this team this year. So do you want to...
You want to go first or me?
You can.
Okay.
what your goals are.
So, as we, prepared for this season, we do have a strong nucleus coming back from last year's squad. We continued to improve throughout the season last year, and we're playing some of our best volleyball at the end of the season when it was conference tournament time, and we're able to kind of knock on the door a little bit, give some people a little bit of a scare with things based off of what we were doing. And, everybody after the season and, as we were working throughout the summer, that's one of those goals that they have set for themselves. Washington Volleyball has never won a conference championship in the history of Washington Volleyball, and so
right?
that's So that is a piece that we would like to put something on the banner there in the gym and
Yeah.
get the picture on the wall down at the locker room. So that's been one of our focuses and things that we are trying to continue to work towards as we embark on the season.
So I guess my question for you, what are your goals for this season? What are your goals as an athlete?
My goals for the season is to win conference. That's like the big overall goal. But I think a goal for myself would be, I have trouble with confidence. I need to have more confidence in myself, and I think it'll just make me a better player.
You know what improves confidence are dad jokes. No, it doesn't. Just kidding. It doesn't improve confidence, and it actually makes people angry. That's been my experience. So you guys, I was reading. I didn't get to the Keokuk game, but that was a heartbreaker. You guys started off really fast, and then sometimes happens. You seem like you put it away early, and then you get a little loose, and then it's hard to get that momentum back. But so I think you have Mount Pleasant up next. Is that
Yep.
right? How do you see Mount Pleasant coming at you, and how do you feel you match up against Mount Pleasant?
One where I feel our matchup is pretty good. We had the opportunity to see them play a little bit at the Grinnell tournament. They were in a different pool than us, but we're able to go over and kind of see them play, a little bit. It's one where they have typically been a very scrappy, team and have been led based off of their overall passing and, just trying to keep the ball in play,
Yeah.
and allowing you to make, kind of the errors and hope to be able to, hold on at that point. And so that's one where we just need to be able to come in, play our game. You talked about the consistency
Yeah.
is one of the big pieces that we were working on last night, and just making sure that we were hustling and getting to the balls that we need to get to and being able to talk with each other. And so I think those are things that we continue to hammer out in practice. And
I mean, Brent and I we had a lot of time before you got here,
Yeah.
as you know. We were kind of talking about how important it is, that kind of thing happens in sports, right? How your team reacts tells you usually more about the team than what actually happened, right? And how
Yeah.
people are able to react and overcome that and put it behind them. So, I think it'll be good to see you guys come out and put a stamp down on Mount Pleasant. We did it on the football field, and now we want to go smoke them on the volleyball court. Pitch? Field? What is it? I don't know.
it would be the court, yeah.
Okay, well, I could try to figure out if there were games or matches. And actually, I just have a quick couple questions. When I was in high school, like the games were to 21. I think you could only score if you were serving. I don't know if that's still the case. No. So it's and then so you can score anytime,
Correct.
and you played at 25 now, right?
Correct.
And how do you rotate? Because I remember I'd always get stuck in the back row and I can't serve. And actually, the problem is I can't spike either. So they were trying to get me to the bench as fast as possible, I think. So I'm curious how you get, like, there's the libero position that you want serving a lot, and then how do you get these players in the right positions with that, rotation requirement?
So a lot of that is kind of dependent on how many setters you have in your offense. Where in our setup, we run a 6-2 offense, meaning that we'll always have 3 hitters at the net, and then our setters are coming from the back row to set the ball. Other teams will run a 5-1. A lot of that depends on the height of that setter. Because if you have a shorter setter, which in our situation right now with Haley, in there, and then Lauren Hendrickson, who has been filling in when Remy's been out, are players that aren't getting above the net very much. And so looking to be able to sub them out and put a front row player in
When they get around.
when they get to the
Gotcha.
front, so they'll play their 3 back row rotations, and then
Sub.
another player will sub in for them and play the
Gotcha.
front row. So that's, with our setters, and then they play on the right side of our offense that way. And then middle hitters, typically, are your ones that provide the best block because they're able to block all three spots. It's hard for somebody to come clear across the court to try to block. So looking at that middle person being our lead blocker is kind of the main emphasis there defensively. And then also running quicks out of the middle so that we're, trying to pick up the tempo a little bit and keep their defense off a little bit. And as you mentioned, the libero, that's, who we have, subbing in for our middles.
Gotcha.
So Ruby Woodoff is our libero. And then we've also been utilizing, wow, this is bad. I'm drawing a blank right now.
I'm sure they know who you're talking about.
Yes, Bella Salazar.
Bella Salazar.
Yes. So she's another one that has been playing that back row position for our middles. And then Ella has been on our outside, and she's one that plays all the way around just because of her ability to pass the ball and, get the attacks, and then being able to utilize her also in a back row attack. Okay. At times. And then, freshman that has stepped up is playing the opposite side of her, and that's Leighton Messenger, and has, done a great job, and she also plays all the way around. So those two, when you come see, they're on the court all the time, and then everybody else is in a
situation.
Sub rotation based off of front row, back row.
So when is the Mount Pleasant game, and is it here or away?
It is next Tuesday at Mount Pleasant.
At Mount Pleasant. When's your next home game?
The 20th. And so that's actually our senior night.
Okay.
That we have going on. And actually I've been approached about also trying to have a youth night, which I need to approve that with
the activities
director.
I got an in with him if you need it.
Okay. Well, that would be good. So, being able to do something along that line as well.
Well, I want to thank Mr. Van Weelden, Aaron Six, and Ella Griner for being here today on this edition of the Washington Demon Coaches Show. A name we'll happily revise if somebody comes up with something good. So I appreciate your time today, guys, and I wish you the very best with your volleyball season, and all your activities, Brent. Yeah. So, have a great day, everyone.